Gulf of Mexico, the scene of the 9th IF World Half Marathon Championships, held annually since 1992, and here are the runners lining up for the start of the women's race. Quite a big field, about 70 runners. The Japanese women prominent there. Japan have been second in the team championships on the last occasion that it was run, 1999, and also way back in 1993 as well. And they were the initial winners back in 1992. So already the runners getting off. I don't think we'll expect any heroics in the pace because it is a hot day and the runners will have to make sure that they take plenty of water on board. Amongst the favourites there, the tall figure of 2:18, Paula Radcliffe, recent setter of a European best for the half marathon when she won the Great North Run, only her second time at this distance. Very strong Romanian team here. They've been team winners 5 times in the past, though they were beaten in 1998 by Kenya, and Kenya also won again in 1999. Well, there are some of the Romanians at the head of the field. Number 250 Takuta, 248 Pomasu, 249 Simon, all in that leading group. In fact, 4 Romanians up there at the early stage of this race. And already, as we get nearly 10 minutes into the race, just beginning to sort out, there'll be plenty of crowd support here for the runner wearing 233. That's Adriana Fernandez. Hasn't done much at the half marathon distance, though she's a Pan American champion at 5,000 metres and a very distinguished marathon runner. Certainly stretching out though. The runners reeling past the course which goes along the port side. And it's all about a team effort as well. And there's a group from Croatia, but well at the back of affairs. So it's Radcliffe wearing 218, Fernandez 233, Simon, the Romanian, wearing 249. Simon, who's been 3 times second or third in this race before. Then 228, that's Mizuki Noguchi of Japan, who was second in the 1999 version of these championships. As we look further back down the field, 20 minutes into the race, the leading group just beginning to break away from the rest now. The Japanese runners also running well as a team, 228 Noguchi, 226 Hashimoto, 229 Yukiko Okamoto. Kenyans prominent, 231 Susan Chepkemei and 230 Pamela Chepchumba. But it's Lydia Simon on the inside of Paula Radcliffe, Noguchi outside, then Chepkemei 231 and Chepchumba 230 just behind. Ethiopians also running well, 212 Astabacha, who won the Ethiopian trial for this event, just at the back of that leading group. Here's Fernandez though, she seems to be struggling and indeed has dropped off that leading group now. 249 Simon, brilliant record in both this race, the half marathon, and of course at the major marathons in recent years. And she was second in the Olympic marathon in Sydney just a month before these championships. Romania, Kenya, Japan, all vying of course for the team title. Paula Radcliffe making a determined bid for this individual event as well. The world silver medalist at the 10,000 metres and 4th in the Olympic 10,000 metres, determined now to win a world title. And of course she's also got silver medals in 2 world cross-country championships at senior level, having won the junior title some years ago. Paula Radcliffe, who's now 26 years of age. But now we've got a group of 4 who've broken away from the rest. Chepkemei of Kenya, Simon of Romania, the tallest figure of Radcliffe, and then Noguchi of Japan. And there's quite a gap that they've opened up now back to Chepchumba of Kenya. That was positions after 10 kilometres. 33.14 for the leader Radcliffe. Going through a much welcome, I'm sure, spray there, and also making sure to take on plenty of liquids on boards as we join the race now with 3/4 of an hour gone. And already just beginning to fall back. Chepchumba here running with Okamoto. That's 226 Hashimoto of Japan. Japan going well, 3 in the top 10, but now Paula Radcliffe clear at the head, leading this race 54 minutes into it. She set European... Oh, we'll just look at Fernandez of Mexico. To the disappointment of the crowd, she's had to drop out. Well, she's only had a couple of marathons recently. She ran the New York Marathon as well as the Olympic Marathon, so 2 big marathons under her belt, and she's obviously feeling the effects of that on this very hot day. It's up now to about 28 degrees Celsius, 75% humidity. But what a marvellous run from Radcliffe. Set the European record in cooler conditions in Britain, 67.07. And after that felt herself to be in such good form that she was added to the British team, originally selected without her because it was felt that she wouldn't want another race at this time of year. Well, she's in good form on the roads after her Olympic run at 10,000 metres on the track, and she's opened up quite a good lead now back to Susan Chepkemei of Kenya. She's run 69.10 this year. She was second in Lisbon as we look at the standings in the race after 15 kilometres. Simon in third place. Well, she was second in 96, third in 97, third in 1998, and now looking for a fourth top 3 position. 248, Pomasu of Romania, back in 7th. Romania still packing well, looking for the team title. But it looks like the individual victory will go to Paula Radcliffe of Great Britain. Susan Chepkemei is not going to close the gap now as Radcliffe and Chepkemei come in towards the finish. Radcliffe, who's made such a name for herself by taking the lead in the World Championships at 10,000 metres last year. In the end, she was outpipped by Gedawami then, but this time she takes a world title. A marvellous win in a pretty good time considering these conditions, just outside 1 hour and 9 minutes, and Susan Chepkemei comes in second place for Kenya. And congratulations from Radcliffe to Chepkemei. And it's certainly taken a great deal out of these women. Lydia Simon maintaining her brilliant major championships record. She comes in an isolated third. Twice third in World Championship marathons, and now her 4th World Half Marathon medal. Well, we know now how the individual prizes will go and what will happen in the team race. Here's Chepchumba of Kenya in 5th. Noguchi of Japan had finished in 4th. That's 245. Botizan of Romania. And there's Hokomoto of Japan. Well, 3 Romanians in the top 7. So they're going to take the team prize. But Japan packing well to take second. That's 226. Hashimoto just finishing. And Gluksak of the USA, the top American, finishing in 10th place. So there's confirmation of the result. Paula Radcliffe winning in 69 minutes 07, as a lot of very tired women indeed finishing. 201, Dos Reis of Brazil, then Van Anna of Netherlands, Batcher of Ethiopia, and then Tola of Ethiopia just finishing. But it really has been very, very hard work indeed. Just checking their watches as they cross the line there. And there's 238, Margarita Tapia of Mexico. She's coming in 33rd. And a lot of these runners are running very much more slowly than they might have expected. 1 hour, 17 and a half minutes into the race. Next Mexican, Dulce Maria Rodriguez, finishing 37th. 1 hour, 19:23. Nkongwani of South Africa in 38th place, followed by Leila Aman of Ethiopia. And another Mexican, Liliana Merlo. So they finished 3, even though their top runner, Adriana Fernandez, had to drop out of the race. And now 110 plus runners assemble at the start for the men's race. The temperature is rising. It's starting at 9:30 in the morning, and it's a hot and humid day. And there's the list of the nations that are contesting this race. 8 times determined before. The reigning champion is Paul Tergat. He won in 61.50 last year in pretty tough conditions, but it'll probably be even tougher this year. And the team award went to South Africa, the last 2 races, 1998 and 1999. In 1999 they won from Ethiopia and from Kenya. All these teams prominent, and we look here also at the Italians at the head of the field. So off they go in something over an hour's running, the half marathon distance, just over 21 kilometers. Already prominent at the head of the field, that's number 110 DC of Rwanda. 2 Rwandans, in fact, in those blue vests are prominent. 110 Diodone DC and also 114 Joseph Nsengwemya. But as expected, no one trying to break away from this field too early. That's very wise indeed. There's the Kenyans, who have a very, very strong team indeed here. They certainly will be looking for the team gold medals. Challenged as ever by the Ethiopians. Also a good team there. And just going through the shot from South Africa, the defending champions at this event. But even 5 minutes into the race, the runner's beginning to stretch out. So the 2 Rwandans still prominent in this arrowhead formation. Strong Japanese squad also in this race. Just seeing there in the dark glasses, number 73, that's Toshiyuki Hayata, former Japanese half-marathon record holder. 74, Satoshi Irafune, 10,000-meter finalist in the World Championships last year. He's also up there. And 75, Tatsumi Morimasa. The Kenyan team, very strong indeed. They've got John Gwako wearing 77. Joseph Kimani, world 10-kilometer road best to his credit. He wears 78. Philip Rugut, 79. David Ruto, number 80. And the defending champion, Paul Tergat, 81. Tergat just on the right of the picture now. The tall figure just loping along, very contented to run at a very sedate pace in this heat and humidity. Prominent there, just on the right of the screen also, is number 97, Fidencio Torres of Mexico. And that's 45, Oscar Fernandez of Spain. Well, this is his first major championship race. Came second in a recent major Spanish race. But no really fast times as yet to his credit. Still got the 2 Rwandans though. Nsengwemya, 114. And DC, 110. They're prominent, but really there's a big group here of something like 30 runners. And only some 10 minutes into a race, which will take them a little over an hour. Certainly a fairly sedate pace at the moment, but it really is hot, and they'll need to take plenty of water on board. It's still DC at the head of affairs there. Fernandez with the sponges. On the inside, wearing 109, that's Bethuel Nchefuefi of South Africa. We've also got 108, George Mofokong, 107, Motsei Mokitsana, and 106, Aaron Gobenyu. So a strong team from South Africa. And they're quite prominent, just in the middle of that group, in the green and gold colours. Still on the left of the screen there, 97, Fidencio Torres of Mexico. Mexican 5,000-meter champion. And also on the right there, number 92, David Galvan. He's probably the top Mexican man, the 1999 Pan American Games 5,000-meter champion. A couple of Spaniards there. They'll be hoping for a good team result. Wearing 46, Antonio Peña, very fast marathoner, and 47, Ivan Sanchez. Ethiopians also looking good there. 48 Awal and 49 Tesfaye Jifar. First time we've really caught a sight of him, the Ethiopian marathon record holder who was third in this race last year. Tesfaye Jifar wears 49, just on the right. Just going past these palm trees now. There's Paul Turgat. He does look so easy. A really terrific, one of the greats of all time. Of course, he's had to take silver medals at 10,000 metres on the track behind the great Haile Gebrselassie in the Olympic Games, in the last two World Championships. And he's saying that he's now finished with the track and is going to turn to the roads, and it'll be fascinating to see when he eventually makes his debut at the marathon. But at this distance, the half marathon, he's undefeated since 1994 and is the very clear favourite for this race. That's Paul Turgat. Still Kenya, Japan, Ethiopia prominent in this leading group, and these two Rwandans still up there. Disa 110, who was leading for much of the early part of the race, as we're now 20 minutes into it. And that's to 130, Todd Reeser of the USA, second in the American Half Marathon Championships, making a determined bid at his first major race. Much bigger man, much more lumbering style than many of the more smoother runners round him. Strong field, but at the moment well represented from the Americas, from Africa, from Asia and from Europe. The Kenyan's Ruto there on the left of the picture. He wears number 80. And just next to him, 78, Joseph Kimani. David Ruto has done 61.57 this year. He was a replacement in the Kenyan team for Philip Taras. And 52 there, that's Ibrahim Said. Well, we haven't seen much of him on the international circuit since he was a very surprise fourth in these World Half Marathon Championships back in 1998. And in that year, he had a best of 60 minutes, 31 seconds. So if he can get up to that form, he can certainly challenge the leading competitors. That's 52, right in the center of the picture there, Ibrahim Said. And then on the right, wearing number 92, is David Galvan of Mexico. Fernandez, the Spaniard, still prominent on the left. The tall figure in the center there, wearing 74, Satoshi Irifune of Japan. Still a big group though, something like 20-25 runners in this leading group. 91 with a back view there, that's Alabi Katabi of Morocco, best known as a steeplechaser. So they're really strung out right across the road here in Veracruz. Number 77 now, that's John Guaco, 11th in this race 2 years ago, and a former fourth placer in the World Junior Cross Country Championship, 1997, when he set his fastest time at the half marathon of 61 minutes. And Faustin Baha, 120, now just coming across to the sponging station. Baha, well, he's had a terrifically competitive season at half marathon this year. Run 7 major races and recently won the Great North Run from Newcastle to South Shields in England. And Baha, just 18 years of age, the fastest ever teenager, indeed world junior record holder for this distance. He was fourth in Lisbon earlier this year in 59 minutes 38 seconds, one of the very few men to have broken the hour. But 77 Guaco from Ruto of Kenya, and already it's looking like a good chance of a Kenyan victory in the team championships here. First 3 to score. Baha. 2 Tanzanians up there, just tucked a bit further behind is 121 Zebediah Bayo. But there's only 2 Tanzanians. There are 4 Kenyans in the leading group. And the Ethiopians include 52 Said, 50 Kabidi, 48 Mohamed Awald. And Torres of Mexico is still going well. We're in 97 there. And the two Japanese who are prominent, 73 Hayata and 74 Irafuni. But it's certainly very hot out here, and it's taking a toll on the runners. They're making sure to take on water as they go past the stations with the sponges and the drinks. But here's a familiar sight of the Kenyans, very prominent at the head of affairs. Those four runners, with Paul Tergat, the favourite, wearing 81 on the right. 80 is David Ruto. Just behind him, 77, John Guaco. And then just behind them, 78, Joseph Kimani. And the Rwandans just beginning to drop back there. It was 114, who we saw prominent early on, Joseph Nsenguemya. Faustin Baha, 120, looking pretty good in that leading group. Little gap opening up now back to 109. That's a South African, Bethuel Nyafichifi. Ruto wears 80. On his right-hand side, that's Baha wearing 120. Just behind them, 108, George Mofokeng, the leading South African. Two Japanese still up there. And Japan have got a good record in this race in the team competition. But Kenya have 5 times won the team race from the first time it was held in 1992, when it was held in conjunction with the Great North Run in Britain. Kenya won it the first 4 times, then again in 1997. Italy won in 1996, and it's South Africa the last 2 years. Looking back down the field there, headed by 47, Ivan Sanchez of Spain. Further down, 130, Risa, who was prominent early on, but now beginning to drop back. So coming up to the halfway point. (108) Mofokeng, 120 Baha, and John Guaco of Kenya in between them. Also the Spaniard, Hernandez, wearing 45. Torres, as ever, on the inside. 97, the Mexican. A little bit of a gap now back to 33, Diego Colorado from Colombia. The tallest figures in that group, the 2 Japanese, 74 Irafuni and 73 Hayata. Also in there, wearing 72, Marco Mazza of Italy. Now at the back of the group, just begin to drop off a bit. One of the favourites from South Africa, Moa Kitsani, 107. He may be a little tired. He was 8th in the Berlin Marathon recently in 2:12:46. Just going through there now. And Said of Ethiopia appears to be losing contact a little bit as well. But Faustin Baha looking really good. This brilliant young 18-year-old who's been concentrating on the half marathon so far. But a surprise there, Ruto of Kenya having to drop out. So there's the leaders after 5 kilometres. Well, that's some while back, and since then a lot of the names shown there have dropped off the pace. And Moulay Ouadid of France, another man suffering from the conditions and having to drop out of this race. It's going to be much slower, I think, than any previous version of this race. The championship record, Shem Correria's 59 minutes 56 seconds in 1997, when the race was held at Katowice in Slovakia, well, went way outside that pace. They're only running around 63-minute pace at the moment. Indeed, this could well be the slowest in the series of IAF World Half Marathon Championships, and that just shows how hot and how humid it is now. Temperature has risen to around 30 degrees Celsius, and it's about 80% humidity, and that is very tough conditions indeed for distance running. And still we have 4 Kenyans in this leading group. The 2 Tanzanians also prominent, 120 Baha and 121 Bayo. Bayo the older at 24. He's won the Paris half marathon this year in 60 minutes 50 seconds, and he's also a top marathon runner. He's third in New York 2 years ago in 2:08:51. Torres of Mexico just dropping back a bit now. He's running alongside Colorado from Colombia. Belgium going quite well if we're looking back. There's another runner dropping out there. They're beginning to drop out quite steadily now. That was Nsengumya of Rwanda, who was a previous leader of this race in the early stages. He too has succumbed to the heat, as pressing on now is John Gwako of Kenya. This just seems to be a little bit of increase in tempo. And running very smoothly indeed as the 22-year-old Kenyan opened up just a bit of a gap. But it's being followed by the leading competitors here, 49, Tesfaye Jifar, two Japanese, yes, at the back of that field, and 72, Marco Mazza of Italy. Just see his back view, together with number 48, Mohamed Awadl of Ethiopia. Just over 40 minutes into the race, so a little way short of the three-quarter stage. And it's Gwako from Ruto, from Tergat, the 3 Kenyans prominent at the head of this race, with Baha of Tanzania. Just behind him, Fernandez of Spain. Mazza of Italy at the back of that group. Well, if they can just keep this going, Kenyans have certainly got the team award wrapped up. Only 3 to score, and they've got 4 men in the top 7. David Ruto now prominent. The last-minute arrival in this Kenyan team. Such is the depth of Kenyan running, they could have fielded a whole series of teams that could have contested for the team award. So it's Gwako in the lead from Ruto. Those two opened up a bit of a gap. I don't think Tergat will be too worried. He's looking very good indeed. Smoothly striding there, wearing number 81. Just letting the 2 youngsters set the pace ahead of him. With Oscar Fernandez of Spain, who's having the race of his life, and he's up there in the leading group as well. Kenyans have provided the individual champion the last 4 stagings of this race. Last 3 stages in this race, I should say. Tergat won last year, then Paul Koech in 98, Shem Kororia in 97, and the 4th previous Kenyan winner, Moses Tanui in 1995, and indeed Benson Masha won the first staging of this event back in 1992. Number 48 there we saw Mohamed Awal of Ethiopia just having to yield ground. And it's still Guaco who leads from Baja. Ethiopia second in the team competition of 1999 and then third the previous 2 years. So they've not yet won it, and it doesn't look like they're going to this year either, with that magnificent Kenyan packing. There are 4 runners all up there in that lead group. A little bit of a gap now back to Hayata, the Japanese runner who was 5th in this race back in 1996. The best time for the half marathon of 60:42, and then 74 Irafuni. But that's Ilabi Katabi, 3 times a world steeplechase finalist, suffering from stitch and having to give ground, though bravely he's trying to struggle on. Katabi, former world road relay gold medalist back in 1994, but best known as a track runner on the steeplechase. But he's not going to figure now in this race. This leading group now down to about 10. Still the 4 Kenyans are up there. The 2 Tanzanians. Fernandez of Spain as well. And from Ethiopia, Tesfaye Jafar. Well, certainly the pace has been enough to shake off the attentions of many men who've, in their time, run at much faster pace, but such is the heat and humidity here that we're now down to this leading group of 8. And yet the time is pretty slow under normal world half marathon standards. What matters, of course, is the conditions. It's certainly all to play for in the tussle for the individual 1, 2, 3 positions, with their valuable prize money as well that's now awarded by the IAF for these championships. But Tergat looking so good, so in control there, wearing 81. Hasn't been prominent at all in the race, content to let the younger Kenyans lead the way. Still Guaco and Ruto. Kimani also, who's one of the most experienced runners in this field at the age of 28. He was 10th in the World Championships at 10,000 metres and also at cross country in 1995 and 1996. He's the tall figure on the left of screen now, wearing number 78. And now pressing on Zebediah Bayo, the 24-year-old Tanzanian, with his 6-year younger compatriot, Faustin Baha, just behind. Now on the left, wearing 120. Quite a gap back now to Matza of Italy, wearing 72, accompanied by Hayata of Japan, wearing 73. So less than 15 minutes of running now for this leading group as they run along the waterside here in Veracruz. The 2 Tanzanians looking good, Bayo and Baha, with the Kenyans and Fernandez of Spain, Jafar of Ethiopia. Looking back down the field for the team competition, I think there's 2 Japanese there, but I can't see their third man, and the Ethiopians possibly contending for second place in the team competition, with Kenya the obvious winners unless something goes very badly wrong in the last couple of kilometres of this race. Can't see that happening. All the 4 Kenyans up there look good. They have, of course, lost one of their runners. That's Philip Rugut, who we saw sitting by the side of the road earlier. Just looking back down there, number 16, Kern Allert of Belgium. And the Belgians have got 3 runners in the top 30 or 40 or so, so they're in with a possible surprise bronze medal in the team competition. Looking back down, there was number 29, Jose Teles de Souza of Brazil. We've still got this leading 8 well away now and the leading position's obviously going to come from this group now. They've got quite a big lead back to the chasers like Matza and Hayata. The two white-vested figures just briefly on screen there. Kenya were only third in the team competition of 1999, so they'll be determined to get back to their usual winning form, usual in team competitions, and the IF have 3 team competitions in at World Championship level. Team competition here, of course, in the half marathon, team competition in the road relays, and also team competition in the World Cross Country Championships, and that has been absolutely dominated by Kenya and Ethiopia ever since those African nations started competing in the World Cross Country Championships some 20 years ago. John Gwako now, who's been the most active of the Kenyans in taking the initiative in this race. He wears 77, David Ruto just behind him, just checking back. And they'll all be just checking for the great man, the big man there, Paul Tergat, looking so easy, number 81. The Kenyans, of course, always running as a team, and they'll be running as a team for, I think, Paul Tergat. They're obviously hoping to do well individually, but he's the leader, he's the king of the team. And what a fantastic record he's got. 5 times World Cross Country Champion, each year 1995 to 1999. His running this year was affected by a dispute in the Kenyan team, which kept him awake most of the night on the eve of the World Championships this year in Villamora. It's 74, Irifune of Japan, who was in that leading group early on, now dropping back a bit. So less than 10 minutes into this race. We're in the final couple of kilometres now. Still all 4 Kenyans are there in this group of 8, all pretty much together, still taking on the water, of course, in these hot and humid conditions. So across the field it's Bayo, then Gwako, then Ruto, and then Tergat in the lead. Just in the middle there, just behind, that's Faustin Baha, the 18-year-old Tanzanian. And 49, Jifar of Ethiopia. Now he's been injured most of the year and hadn't been able to get back into his best form, and he was outside 2:15 in a recent marathon, but he's obviously coming back into the sort of shape which took him to 3rd place in this race last year, and indeed to the Ethiopian record marathon time, 2 hours 6 minutes 49 seconds, when he was 2nd at Amsterdam. That's Jifar wearing 49, just on the right of the screen, just behind Tergat. It looks like Fernandez is having to drop back, so this leading group of 8 now reduced to 7. A little less than a kilometre to go now in this World Half Marathon Championships of the year 2000. And we'll be looking at Tergat as the favourite for this race, but he's got company, and it'll be a question perhaps of the sprint finishes. Baha still looking good, 1:20. Number 80, David Ruto. And Gwako, and Bayo, and Jifar. Kimani, who has been the least prominent perhaps of the Kenyans. He's still up there. Distinguished record on the roads, particularly in the USA in recent years. But Tergat looks good. He looks well in control. Further down the race, of course, runners having more of a struggle to keep going. And we just briefly saw number 83. That's the reigning Commonwealth Marathon champion, Thabiso Mokali of Lesotho. Coming up for the hour, well, Paul Tergat's already in his career finished half marathons in less than this. Fastest ever time, 59 minutes 6 seconds, when he won in Lisbon this year. 5 times he's won the Milano half marathon. Set a world best there in 1998 of 59.17. There's Fernandez now in 8th place in this race. And just behind him, Mazza of Italy. So Tergat has been well used to run the half marathon in under the hour, but this time it's going to be several minutes longer than the hour. Such is the nature of the course and conditions here. It's a good course. It's quite flat, of course, along the seaside here, but it has been hot and has been very, very humid. Now Tergat beginning to come to the head of affairs, and he doesn't seem to be easy compared to Ruto, number 80, who's running much harder. Giffard is also up there, and Baja, and this leading group now beginning to sort itself out as they go towards the finish now. They can see the finish in front of them, and now it's Paul Tergat at the head of the field. Just behind him, Faustin Baja of Tanzania. Then, number 80 is Ruto, 78 Kimani. And on the inside, just behind Tergat, following him all the way, Tesfaye Giffard of Ethiopia. Tergat still looks easy. He can see the finish. And running much harder is Giffard and Baja. Good crowd support here too in Mexico. Quite used to big meetings, of course, in Mexico at the high altitude of Mexico City. Well, this is sea level as they come in now to the finish of the IAF World Half Marathon Championships of 2000. Sprinting hard for the line. On the left, Faustin Baja of Tanzania, but smoothly just looks round there. It's Paul Tergat of Kenya, the favourite, the 5 times world cross-country champion, now in some style and with some ease, retaining his world title at the half marathon. Baja is in second, Giffard is in third place, Joseph Kimani is in fourth, with David Ruto just behind in fifth place. Well, what a runner this man Paul Tergat is. He's been overshadowed on the track by Haile Gebrselassie, but he has a brilliant collection of medals to his credit. That was Guaco's, finished 6th. Then Fernandez ahead of Mazza. Bayo was 7th, then Fernandez and Mazza 8th and 9th. Mazza, a tall Italian, wearing 72. Well, he's had a fine race in coming in 9th place. That's number 3, Betim of Algeria, coming in 10th. He made some progress through the field in the closing stages. This man was prominent early on. That's Hayata of Japan. He comes in a very tired man in 11th place. And 12th, that's Ibrahim Said, the 35-year-old Ethiopian, 4th in this race 2 years ago. Now getting good points for Ethiopia, who are looking to do well in the team competition. The winners, of course, have been Kenya. But we've had 2 Ethiopians in now, in Giffard and in Said. And here comes another, just behind Reynoso of Mexico. Here's Gemichu Kabidi of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia will take 2nd place in the team competition. And that's a good run for Reynoso, the top man from the home nation of Mexico. And it looks like a good run also for the Belgians, in fact. That's number 19, Ronnie Ligneal. Yes, he's the 3rd Belgian in. Just congratulated by, they've got Kern Ellert in 15th place and Guy Face in 18th. So it looks like Belgium will take 3rd place in the competition. Torres of Mexico, 97. As we look now on the confirmed final result. And Paul Tergat was the winner for Kenya in the time of 1 hour, 3 minutes, 47 seconds. Winning by a second, but winning pretty comfortably from Faustin Baja of Tanzania and Tesfaye Giffard of Ethiopia. So we just ran down the field there. There's confirmation of Ligneal of Belgium finishing in 28th place. And tired runners coming in now. This is 94, Andres Perez Espinosa of Mexico, and he's come in 46th. And Ivan Sanchez of Spain's just made the top 50, but has finished very tired indeed in a little over 68 minutes. This is a race which has taken its toll on a fine field of distance runners. Dale Warrender of New Zealand there, 47. And there's the team result. Kenya, clear champions. Ethiopia, an isolated second place. And Belgium just beating Japan to take third place ahead of Italy, South Africa, and then Mexico doing well in seventh, a place ahead of Morocco.